day and welcome to NBP Hot Seat. My name is Zaf Coelho from Nuclear Business Platform. Joining me today is Mr. Vakisasai Ramany, who is the Senior Vice President Development, New Nuclear Projects and Engineering from EDF. Welcome, Mr. Ramany. We are delighted to have you with us today on NBP Hot Seat.
Good morning, Zaf, and very happy to be today with you and very keen to have this conversation.
Wonderful, wonderful. Firstly, congratulations on the submission of EDF's techno-commercial offer for the 6 EPR reactors at the Jaitapur site in Maharashtra, India. I believe you submitted in person this offer to the Department of Atomic Energy and to the Indian nuclear operator NPCIL. Is that correct, Mr. Ramany?
That's absolutely right, Zaf. We benefited from very strong support from both the French government and Indian government. We got authorizations and to ensure we could, on one side, travel safely, meet the right people, submit our offer hand to hand, and come back in a safe manner as well. I think it was not only very important that we show how much committed we are in putting together this offer, and you can imagine was a very big effort from both the French team who had to put the offer together, but of course it's the result of several months and years even of discussion. And at the end, despite the conditions, given the importance of the project, not only for EDF and NPCIL, but also for France and India, and also in the general awakeness of climate change conscience, well, it was important that we go in front of our Indian colleagues and really submit it hand to hand. I think that was really acknowledged and received positively, very positively, and we were delighted to do it.
Wonderful, wonderful. I guess this further demonstrates the level of commitment, between both governments to ensure that this project goes ahead. I guess, Mr. Ramany, before we dive into the Indian nuclear power project, which EDF is going to be involved in, can you briefly share with us your role in EDF currently?
So I have the real privilege to lead the team which has the responsibility to promote, export, and eventually sign contracts on new nuclear projects outside of France. We really cover 3 major dimensions and in our activities. Number 1 is the most visible, which is effectively projects like the Indian projects we're going to discuss right now. Second is also what are developing the technologies or ensuring there is the development of the technologies which make sense for the market and which meet the market demand. And we have in our offer, we have the EPR reactor, 1650 megawatt. We have a mid-range reactor, 1200 megawatt. And we are in the process of developing a small modular reactor called New World, which is a power plant of 340 megawatt. And so in our responsibility, we also have to define the characteristics of those products which we are willing to find a reach for in the market. And third, you can imagine that such effort cannot be the effort of one single company. It is a group of a huge responsibility on us to gather the industrial team to find partners, and finding these strategic partners to go with us, find new markets, address new customers, new clients, or address our usual partners. That is something also which is part of our responsibility. So it's again, as you can see, given what is at stake generally, and in this climate change context, it is really a privilege to lead that for EDF.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Mr. Ramani, I mean, most of us wouldn't know, but you actually have been with EDF for quite some time. I'm not going to ask you how old you are, but you've been with EDF for quite some time. I guess the question that I'm trying to get at is, what is unique about EDF? What do you enjoy about working with EDF that that you've been there for quite some time, Mr. Ramani?
Very strong values and which also invest itself wherever it goes in the long term. The partnership approach is really something which is part of EDF's DNA, and um, EDF has got close to 40 million customers worldwide. And on the other side, EDF is also very responsible in and present in the generation of electricity. Uh, it has, in the span of its activities, a full understanding of what it takes to bring safely power in the house of everyone. And uh, when you build that together with our strong values, it gives a company, you have a company which not only have a variety of activities, is able to understand the direction of the market, the world, and therefore bring solutions which are fully, responding to what society expects. And so it's a very responsible company, as exactly is portrayed by our company purpose, which exactly says how much we give importance to making development very responsibly, being a leader in low carbon energies, and being very close to our customers, bringing solutions to our customers in that on that regard. And I had the opportunity to be part of various type of activities, ranging from generation to the supply, and today in the international development of new nuclear.
Wonderful, wonderful. I guess, Mr. Ramani, over the last few years, as you were preparing for this techno-commercial offer for the Indian project, you must have worked very closely with the Indian nuclear establishment. What are your thoughts on the Indian's government commitment towards nuclear energy and their commitment to expanding the mix of nuclear energy in their country?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think it's fair to acknowledge that India has been a nuclear country for a very long time, for decades, since the 70s, and they have developed a very strong expertise. And I'm always stricken by the level of expertise, experience, and strength of the people we meet, their competence really. And over the time, they have been developing a full supply chain. And clearly, there is a lot we have in common in the way field of nuclear. That, as a result, together with the strategy of decarbonizing the energy mix, which we can see all over the world in Europe, and which matches also India's approach. Well, then obviously everyone sees the role of nuclear. The parties, and so it's beyond. It's all several parties support that, and the government certainly do, which has ensured that there is a moment in India for several years, decades actually, supporting the development of steady support, the development of nuclear, with today an ambition to have 40, eventually 60 gigawatts of nuclear in India in 10, 20 years' time. And I think this is something which is really important, and the commitment of the government as well as the supply chain is there. Currently, India has got 7 gigawatts of nuclear power in operation. They are adding almost the same amount and currently, which is under construction, and there are discussions for integrating and accelerating this movement with foreign technologies like ours, and ourselves, we're going to try and add close to 10 gigawatts of capacity. All of that is possible because you have a convergence of views between, on one side, the political arena in India, second, a good public acceptance, third, an industry which is capable, and fourth, their capability to integrate foreign technologies and work in cooperation with other supply chains and others. I'd like to mention in the way the India works and their state of mind and spirit, that India is part of ITER, which is an international program for fusion, and they do provide very significant components for ITER, and this highlights, I assume, the role India wants to play in the international community in nuclear.
Wonderful, wonderful. And zooming in onto the Jaitapur project, can you share with us an overview of the Jaitapur project and what's next after this techno-commercial offer has been made, Mr. Ramany?
So what we have submitted to NPCIL 2 weeks ago is a binding offer for the supply of all the design and engineering, and for the supply of all the components for 6 reactors at the site of Jaitapur, which is indeed in Maharashtra on the coast. This is, as such, the basis for key discussions we are going to lead in the coming month, and should lead to, hopefully, and that's what both parties would expect, the signing of a framework agreement, which at that point would then be binding. We expect that to happen in the coming months. So obviously, what we have submitted is the result of a very good understanding, because there have been a lot of discussions, both technical and commercial, over the past years, and it's more especially in the last 2 years. And none of that has been, that dynamic could be maintained even during the COVID crisis in 2020, and we are very proud of that, both teams on NPCIL and EDF side. So I'm very hopeful that we can continue with this dynamic, as is testimonied by the willingness of the Indian side to receive our offer and our willingness to submit it. We discussed that earlier. And so, yes, I mean, there is still a lot of work, but we are very getting closer to an agreement now. So
Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. And I also understand that in recent months, the EDF has been engaging with potential suppliers to be involved in this project. Is that still ongoing? How is it like engaging with potential suppliers to be involved in this JNPP project?
So first of all, people we engage to be part of this magnificent project are all excited, and they are keen to be part of it. And I think they're keen to be part of it because EDF is a recognized player with experience, and I think there is good, usually, partnership interaction with EDF. And on the other side, NPCIL is demonstrating on the ground that they can construct, deliver nuclear power plants, as they did with the Kakrapar 3 very recently on their Indian technology. So we have 2 types of partners. Our usual partners, like the General Electric, and who provides the turbine, and Framatome, who's a subsidiary of EDF, who will provide the nuclear steam supply system, but also many others in the EDF supply chain who really want to be part of it. And we have really completely set that up properly and secure that before we could obviously put a binding offer. And on the other side, there is the necessary and absolutely key involvement of the Indian nuclear industry. And for that, you can imagine that it's an industry which is committed and involved in the Indian projects themselves. And as part of their commitment and their involvement, what we have been looking to do is build partnerships between our supply chain and the Indian supply chain to make sure that the EPR expertise that our supply chain brings can meet the Indian environment understanding that the Indian suppliers bring. And this is, we believe, the recipe for a successful project at Jaitapur. We have been screening more than 200 Indian companies, and we have been looking at pre-qualifying some of them. We have cooperation agreements with major companies in India and conglomerates like Larsen and Toubro, with whom we are developing institutes to support the Indian industry understand our codes and standards. We are also, looking at long-term and ensuring there is proper resources for the project, developing a project, and it's a feasibility study today with the Virmata Institute of Technology to see whether we can create a center of excellence in Maharashtra and to support the project, and with strong Indian resources. We are in the process also of setting up an Indian engineering platform close to the project. That is absolutely key. I think it's very well known that India has a system where the engineers are competent and also have the ability to integrate, understand very quickly, and learn very quickly. And so we are trying to build on that to create the success of this great project.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm sure you're aware, India has adopted a Make in India initiative across many industries. You briefly mentioned, you briefly shared some of your potential collaboration that you're going to be doing with some of the local players. Can you also briefly share with us some of the measures that EDF might be taking to be part of this Made in India initiative? And do you believe, does EDF subscribe to this Made in India initiative, Mr. Ramany?
So the good news, and I think I've started introducing it actually in what I just said, the Make in India initiatives and the Skill India program both completely fit in what would have been our natural strategy to make this project happen. And so we are completely in tune with those two programs, because the success of this such a nuclear project must involve local companies who have the understanding of the local environment, the labor laws, understanding of the safety requirements, etc., etc. And so we really have to ensure that there is a convergence between the EPR technology expertise that we bring and the understanding of the Indian environment. So localization is a must for the success. Localization is an absolute necessity, and those two completely match from a project standpoint, strategic standpoint, as well as from a Make in India, Skill India perspective. So again, when you look at it, at three levels: industry level, we are screening and we're trying to involve Indian players. We're trying to make them understand how we work on EPR technology and what are the codes and standards that's an institute we have put in place with our partner Larsen and Toubro and Bureau Veritas. And third, we are also thinking longer term with the Center of Excellence and the Virmata Technology Institute. So these are some of the initiatives. We are hopeful that there would be significant involvement. Broadly, at the end, we could expect that the localization rate, if I may call it that, or the Indian involvement would be around 35 to 40% in the overall project.
Well, fantastic. I think that's really amazing, Mr. Ramany. I think that's really welcome news for the Indian nuclear industry also, because apart from just generating more clean energy, we are also, your EDF is also trying to play a part in creating jobs and creating the transfer of knowledge also to the industry. So I think it's really going to be a very exciting project. I think everybody's looking forward to it. I guess, Mr. Ramany, are there particular milestones which EDF is working towards, with regards to this Jaitapur nuclear power project? Are there significant milestones that you're hoping to achieve in the next year or 2 or 3?
Well, our focus today, ZAF, will be really to reach the milestone related to the binding framework agreement. What's important for that is to clear all the technical related issues and have a very good understanding. That is key for the future licensing process. We know how much that is important in our industry. Second, well, obviously, we will discuss the right way to make sure finalize, the key conditions which will make the project competitive in the Indian context. And so we have surely some discussions to have, fine tuning to do with NPCIL on that regard. And we have to continue securing the industrial team and involve all the key players that need to be there to secure the project. And so these are, let's say, the 3 dimensions on which we will be working very hard in the coming months. We will be continuing also interacting a lot with the key stakeholders, both in France and in India at political level, to facilitate the decision making. So yes, I mean, I would say in the coming months, our focus is going to be on that. Obviously, we do not forget that whatever we have to do here has a long-term impact. But as you have understood, the way we approach this project, our DNA, we discussed it at the very beginning of this interview, well, is really looking at long-term partnership. And so we have already an office in Mumbai close to our customer and our partner. We are looking to grow it. We're looking to grow an engineering platform close to the project. We're looking to be with our partner, support our partner, not only in the development and construction of this project, but also during operation. So these are definitely long-term initiatives, and what our focus is today, creating the right conditions to make that happen.
Wonderful. In fact, many people say that relationships in the nuclear industry should last for 100 years, right? So I guess EDF is taking the right step by, being very committed, by having an office over there and, going through extra miles to ensure that your client is also happy with the work that you are doing. So I salute you on that, Vakis. Lastly, Mr. Ramany, what can the global nuclear industry expect from EDF in the future? Outside of Jaitapur, what else can we expect from EDF?
So nuclear is really, we believe, part of the solution to decarbonize the energy mix worldwide. So what do we have in front of us? So first of all, I mean, in terms of nuclear development beyond the Indian project, we can see there is an initiative in Poland, and the Polish government willing to make a decision on a technology, probably next year sometime. And so we are committed to participate in that process and support the Polish government, and obviously with an EPR solution. We are keen to support also in Europe the Czech Republic, where there is to come a tender, so a competitive process. From what we understand, it should be launched by the end of this year. EDF is committed to be part of this competition with a proposal on mid-range. It's a mid-range reactor proposal that is expected, and so we will be proposing the EPR 1200, which is the EPR technology adapted at mid-range for 1200 megawatts. We are also continuing developing our relationship with other potential partners, and there is also a bid or a tender which is to be launched in Saudi Arabia. The exact timing of it is to be confirmed. The process has started long ago already, since 2017, and we have been part of it, and we have been passing each and every gate so far and been confirmed as selected to continue the process, and so we continue to be acting on that. we also obviously continue to follow what is happening in China, in South Africa, in Brazil, many other countries where we would want to be involved. And I'd like to mention that we obviously look not only at the near future but also at the longer future, not too long because it's difficult to develop business so too long, but we're looking at what's happening in the SMR domain with some interest in the market for that kind of proposal. And as I mentioned earlier, we are at EDF developing an SMR concept, which is called Neward, a 340 megawatt plant. The objective of that plant is to be a solution for the replacement of aging coal plants of 300, 400 megawatt size. And as you know, Zaf, there are so many of those around the globe.
Yeah.
And so therefore, this SMR product is there to bring a decarbonizing solution for the renewal of these coal plants. And so we are in the effort of developing the technology, making it known and understood by the market. We are, of course, trying to ensure, we make sure the French government supports that effort, all of our efforts, in fact. And as a matter of fact, you certainly know that the French government not only is supporting EDF with a program for which a decision is to be made in the coming months, probably after the presidential elections next year, on a French EPR program for up to 6 reactors. And the French government has also already committed to support financially as well the SMR initiative of EDF called Neward. So you see, we have a lot of hope. We have a lot of commitment. We are very much engaged in a number of initiatives to make sure that nuclear is part of the solution to decarbonize the world energy mix.
Wonderful, 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 Mr. Ramany. It looks like you have your plate full for the next coming months and years. And I guess we are all very excited with the great work which EDF is doing, not just with regards to the large reactors, but with also the small modular reactors, like you have mentioned. Mr. Ramany, we've come to the end. How fast time flies. We've come to the end of the interview. I really thank you for your time, and once again, congratulations on the submission of the techno-commercial offer for the 6 EPR reactors at Jaitapur. We wish EDF and yourself all the best. Take care, and this is Zaf Quelo signing out. Thank you very much.